This is a good pose. That's how I start all my videos. Nice little hip cock to the right. What is going on, riders? Cody from Motorcycle MD. Now, a while ago, actually my very first video I put out was on diagnosing carburetors in less than 5 minutes. So I wanted to update that video with a bike that I know will need a carb clean on it. It's a beautiful 01 Shadow 1100. It's got 6,500 miles on it, 6,500 miles on it. So you can imagine the main reason why it needs the carb clean is because it's been sitting. As you know, ethanol that is in the gas reduces the shelf life of fuel. Okay, so when you have non-ethanol gas, it lasts a whole lot longer than you would with ethanol gas. And the main thing is, the more gas you have, the longer it takes for it to go bad. The reason why carburetors get junked up with ethanol fuel is because the bowls are holding about 2 shot glasses of ethanol fuel in them, and that small amount will go bad quick. When you use fuel additives like fuel stabilizer, stuff like that, of course it helps it to last a little bit longer. But in a period of about 3 to 6 months, it's when that deterioration of the gas, evaporation of the gas really, starts to take place, leaving a film behind in the carburetor, clogging up the jets. Now what I want to do is use an example here with an actual demonstration of how to diagnose that carburetor using starter fluid. There's a couple of tips and tricks that I want to show you guys along the way, so be sure to hang out, and I'll also go into a little bit more detail on how the bike reacts to the starter fluid and what that means. So let's get right into it. Alright, so first thing we gotta do, please excuse my phone, this is how I make sure that I get all of the stuff that you guys need to see in the frame. So if you see this in the camera, I'm sorry, it's the best way to give you guys the most valuable content. And please disregard my entire mess that I have going on here. It's been busy this summer, and it's really just the outcome of a busy season. So spring cleaning will be in effect shortly, I guarantee you that. So the first thing I want to do is show you guys how this bike is running right now. Okay, the gas is on. The gas in the tank is old. This bike sat for about a year. The gas is on. I have a key in it here. All right, the battery is charged. I'm not sure how much, but let's see how it responds, no choke whatsoever, and giving a little bit of throttle and see if it will start up. See if we can pump the accelerator a little bit. Nothing. All right, let's try it with choke. Full choke, same thing. It sounds like it's running on one cylinder. And I can tell which one it's running on by whichever one gets hot. This rear one is the one that's running. This front one is cold as ice. This one's already warm, but it's only running on choke. Runs like a turd, nothing. Now, tip number 1. Now there are a couple different types of choke systems. The reason why I want to go into this is because this is a super helpful trick for diagnosing carburetor problems. I always give this information to people who email me with questions about their carburetor. It's been running, now it's not running as well, or vice versa. It's been sitting for a long term and now it won't run at all. This is a great way to diagnose things simply by riding the bike or using the choke system. Now there's 2 different types of choke I want to talk about. One, ta-da, being this is a carburetor off of the 80s CB750. Now this uses a choke cable. Okay, when the choke cable is applied, these butterfly valves up front will go completely closed, cutting off all air into the system. What that does inside of here, it creates a very, very, very low pressure, sucking anything it can out of the bottom bowl of the carb, giving it way more gas, allowing it to start up. Now this is a carburetor off the Webbel 250. And this uses an enricher valve, just like this bike. Choke plunger goes down inside of here, okay? And what it does is when the choke is actuated, like so, it pulls that plunger up. When it pulls that plunger up, it enriches the circuit, allowing a different passage of fuel to flow into the carb, giving it more fuel, enriching the system, allowing it to start on cold starts. That's what this uses, okay? Now, I want you guys to think with common sense about this, okay? So the choke or enrichener valve is designed to richen the mixture for the idle circuit, getting it to start on cold starts or by whatever means. It can also be used as a diagnostic tool. Let's say you're going on the interstate, you're running at 40 mile an hour, 50 mile an hour, motor's starting to slow down, cut out, almost like no matter how much throttle you give it, it's just not responding to the throttle. I don't care what bike you have. If you apply the choke, that will enrichen that mixture, giving it way more fuel than what it needs, and you can actually diagnose the problem off of the way the bike responds. If you apply full choke at that RPM, all of a sudden the bike picks up, gets a second cylinder in there, and takes off running like it did before, that's telling you that a number of things. One, it's more than likely not an ignition problem. Because the choke circuit changing, adding more fuel, it's saying that obviously it's a fuel issue, a fuel starvation issue. Because you apply the choke means nothing about the coils, means nothing about the pulse generator, it means nothing about that. Unless you have an extremely weak spark or some kind of crazy situation like that, that just so happens when you apply the choke, that system fails too, I doubt it. More than likely, that's not going to be the problem. Let's say you're tuning a bike that has a pod filter setup. I'm telling you, this information can go a long, long way when it comes to diagnosing your bike and the rideability of how it's functioning. Let's say you use a choke. Let's say you slowly work the choke on while you're riding the bike, trying to diagnose maybe a lean spot or a rich spot in a mixture or throughout the RPM range. You apply the choke full on, all of a sudden the bike just goes boom and dies. What that tells you is that when you added that fuel, that extra fuel, enrichener, choke, whatever you did, the bike responded negatively because it was way too rich, way too foul to even try to start it, to even try to run it, or whatever the case may be. So that's a great, great tool, and it comes with the bike. Isn't that crazy? To diagnose carburetor problems. Remember, full choke, or you want to work the choke on slowly, however you want to do it. Maybe it responds best with just when you give it just a little bit more choke at that RPM or at idle and wants to fire, it's telling you that it's a lean situation. Lean meaning not enough fuel. When you apply the choke and it runs better, just like this bike did, it would only run on choke. That's telling me that it has to have more fuel for it to even decide to run. Okay? In this case, only that rear cylinder is firing. The front cylinder is not. I already know that that front carb is going to be probably the worst, and the rear carb will obviously be bad as well because it's not running on idle. Only runs on choke. That's a great way to know, hey, I probably have a carburetor problem. But let's go a step further, okay? Let's see how it responds when I give the bike what it wants, which is that more fuel. And I'm going to do that with using starter fluid. I'm going to try to access, whatever bike you have, access the airbox. Ideally, you would like the airbox to be open so that you can spray this directly down inside the airbox and see how it responds. Now, keep in mind, people, I've had people tell me, no, don't do that, you're going to detonate the motor. I'm not pouring this into the gas tank to run the bike off of. Yes, I can understand that in an extreme situation, and I'm just hosing this cylinder down with starter fluid, just trying to get in the fire over and over and over and over again. If that hasn't happened, obviously you probably don't have a carburetor issue. It's more than likely an ignition problem. Side note, that part's free. I'm not going to detonate the motor by hitting this with 1 or 2 quick sprays to get the cylinders to fire at all. That's all I want to do. I'm not trying to run the bike off while I'm riding the bike, spraying this thing down inside the airbox. So I don't need any negative comments about how I should not be using this. This has been an age-old trick since Jesus walked the earth, okay? So I'm going to tell you guys right now, this is a safe bet. But be cautious, okay? So let's go ahead and get this seat off, so I can, because on this bike, the air filter is actually right underneath. 10mm socket. Grab this back acorn nut. It's also good to put a little piece of rubber, like O-ring underneath this thing, because that metal part can actually tear up the fender. All right, so once that's off, okay, I'm gonna kind of slide the seat backwards because it has a little clamp up front. Put my hand underneath this metal part here, because as you're trying to pry this thing up, you don't want to tear into this rear fender, especially on this pretty bike. So I'm gonna kind of put my hand underneath it. I'm gonna compress that cushion here and slide that out. See, no damage here, done by me. And now I have access to this, to the driver's seat, which is right here. 2 Allen screws. All right, grab a little extension, 5mm Allen. I hate ratchet noise. I don't know why, it's like nails on a chalkboard. And you would think I work in a shop, that's all I hear. Oh man, it drives me nuts. So the seat, all I'm gonna do is pull up on this rear part. It's got a little ramp in the front to lock in. Pull this up and take it off. All right, check it out. There's our air box. Air filter actually looks really good. Oh where has my flashlight gone? There it is. All right, so what I could do is kind of look inside of there. Air filter looks bright cherry red, which is exactly how it should look. So we're good to go on that. But now I have access straight into the air filter. So with that off, gas on. I know I got gas in the tank. Let's do the same exact thing. Start the bike, no choke. All right, no choke at all. Starter fluid. Now I'm gonna turn the bike over and give this 2 quick sprays and see if it picks up and wants to run. Now remember, it didn't run at all with no choke. This time we got no choke on. Let's go ahead and turn this thing through. I'm gonna spray this directly down inside the air box while it's turning over. See how you actually heard that second cylinder come to life. And then it would actually take the throttle for a second, and then it would shut back off into that 1 cylinder, and then it would die back out. I hit it again, that second cylinder would pick back up. I'm telling you guys, that is the sign right there. That's all you need to know. Carburetors are dirty. They are dirty. When I add fuel to it, something that's very, very combustible and burnable, aka gas, it's saying, I like it, I'm gonna run on 2 cylinders now because you're giving it to me. Okay, it's not getting any fuel at all from the idle circuit on that front carburetor. So it's telling me it likes the fuel, it wants to run. As soon as it burns off that fuel that I gave it, it says, I can't do this anymore. I'm not getting enough fuel into the cylinder. So let's go back to that pod filter style diagnosis when you're trying to tune those carbs up. Let's say at the high RPM, the RPMs are cutting out, you give it fuel, again, it dies on its face. The same thing what I explained with the choke. Obviously, when you're giving it the gas, it does not like that much gas, and it fouls it, falls on its face. It no longer wants that much fuel, and it might even shut off on you. So if you have a non-running bike, just by doing what I just did, by spraying it with starter fluid, running the bike, I've just diagnosed that the fact that it has spark on both cylinders. Okay? The valves, the pistons, it's got compression, it's got all of that stuff is fine because it was able to run off that starter fluid. Okay, if it had no compression or anything like that, it wouldn't run at all. If it had an ignition problem, no spark, when I gave it the starter fluid, it would not run at all because it has nothing to do with fuel being the problem. This bike is sound. The carburetors are probably disgusting. So that's it, guys. This is a part 2 to that first video that I ever made at the very beginning of Motorcycle MD. I hope that brings clarity to some of you guys. I know there's a lot of questions that came along with that video. So there's a super quick tool that professionals use all across the board that helps you diagnose carburetor problems, ignition problems, so on and so forth. I'm gonna go ahead and dive into these carburetors. I have to get them cleaned up. And by the way, for the past couple months, I've actually been building an entire carburetor clean encyclopedia for you guys. On the website, it will contain single carb cleans, dual carb cleans on dual VT750s, dual carbs on 1100s, inline 4 carburetor cleans, as well as a bunch of other cool stuff that I'll be building on a page at motorcyclemd.com. So be sure that you subscribe to this channel because I'll be giving you guys updates on when that finally comes out. And make sure you go ahead and subscribe to Motorcycle MD's mailing list. That way you'll get the notification when the carburetor for your bike comes out and it's ready for you to use. And when you do subscribe to the mailing list, you'll also get a free troubleshooting cheat sheet that I've made for you guys totally for free. That's just for subscribing. That says, hey, I like what you do. Here's my email. I want to know more about the content you put out. So thank you guys so much for hanging out with me here. I hope the tips that you found are valuable. This stuff can be used across the board with any kind of motorcycle. So that's why I wanted to share it with you guys. So remember, subscribe to the channel, hit the like button, maybe shoot me a comment below with what you learned. And also follow me on Instagram and Facebook where I post weekly at TheMotorcycleMD. So as always, Cody from Motorcycle MD, bringing you guys quality tips and tricks for your next build of your daily rider. See you guys next time.